They killed Dr. King. All y'all can do is see. I have a dream too, Dr. King. That your dream came true. People looked inside of me, not at the shape or the size of me, not at the color or the style of me, but they looked at my inner reality, not this outside fantasy. In my dream, Dr. King, Marcus Garvey was ridiculed and called a fool.
Okay.
Ruby Bridges, she walked to school alone. Malcolm, he was murdered by his own.
Okay.
And Rosa Parks enjoyed her bus ride home.
Yes, yes.
I hear you.
Emmett Till, he was alive today. Steve Biko lived to write another day.
All right, brother.
Medgar Evers was murdered in his driveway, and Brother Tupac represented the best of us.
Yeah. Okay.
Rodney King wasn't beaten live for the whole world to see.
Yes.
While Marvin Gaye was asking us, what's going on?
What's going on? All right.
In my dream, Dr. King, adults today were living clean. Not smoking weed, tobacco, and dropping pills.
All right.
Smoking crack, down in 40s and getting whacked.
Say it.
Dreaming stupid dreams.
Yes.
Okay.
Like there's nothing left to do but get high or lie, or so it seems. Shooting down nightmares of tomorrow's dreams.
I hear you, brother.
I pray your dream comes true, Dr. King. In concrete jungles everywhere, sons of righteous folk and sons of criminals sat down at the table of brotherhood to teach one another to read, to love, and to love.
Yes.
My children, they attended equally integrated schools,
All right.
but they were not judged by the color of their skin,
Come on.
but by the work they handed in on time to teachers who really cared.
Yes.
My dream is your dream, Dr. King.
Right.
In my dream, I saw little black boys holding the hands of little white girls, and little white boys holding the hands of little black girls in agape love, and red, yellow, and brown children too. I heard that same freedom bell ring
Yes.
from every town, from Africa to America,
Say that.
from South America to the Caribbean, from Europe to Asia.
Yes.
2 weeks after your vision in D.C., 4 little girls, Abby Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley, all walked home to Raven Moms.
Yes.
And the next day, they attended a shiny new classroom with caring and loving classmates and all type of children to play with. Each one of those little girls became a doctor to heal us, a teacher to teach us, a lawyer for justice, and the president of the Human Rights University. Yes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., your dream is my dream. In my dream, I saw you in Coretta sitting down with your grandchildren in the not-so-white White House. You being the president of the United States of Love. For you all, so brave, so intelligent, and oh so blessed. Because of you, Dr. King, we are free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last, and truly are so mighty. Thank you, Dr. King, for your vision and your dream. Thank you, Dr. King.
Come on, brother. Yes.
In 1968, Martin Luther King was murdered. And every urban city exploded. Black folks, my friend Deborah, my cousin Alfonso, the taxi drivers, the busboys, the postmen, the hustlers, the nurses, the teachers, even the church deacons, all spilled out into the street, sparked by a rage that would not be harnessed. Fire was a visible fury, and it didn't take long for the world to burn. The air grew bitter with a smoke that refused to move. The electricity had failed in my overcrowded apartment building. The tenants cowered in the hallways, frightened from the erupting chaos. The bright dot of a light cigarette would swell, and someone began a hymn deep in the throat.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child.
I was the son of a no-nonsense, hat-wearing, church-going, God-fearing woman. so I was not allowed outside. No way! So I stood at that living room window with my trembling mother while our neighbors moved entire racks of clothing down the street, balanced cases of J&B on their shoulders, and rolled by on stolen 10-speeds. I saw the blood from the wound that the wounded didn't even notice they were there. The fire from the burning buildings licked at the shirt cuffs and the pant legs of daring looters. Even the trees on my street burned like matchsticks with their heads all aflame. Later that night, I lay on a pallet on the floor and I watched the flames lick the sky. Windows, the bullets whizzed past my window, mother screaming for the wounded and wayward children. But how could the sky burn? I kept asking my mother, who was planning on sitting up all night with her back against the door. How could the sky burn?
How could the sky burn? The next day, everything was one. The world was a pile of rubble, whispering smoke dotted in places by the bright color of a gym shoe, a discarded shirt, and the severed head of a dog. The market, where my mother used to haggle over fatty cuts of meat, was gone.
The clothing store that once flashed cheap polyester promises in every window was gone.
The dry cleaners, gone.
The liquor store, gone.
Shards of broken glass sparkled on the concrete like unmined jewels.
Gone.
The sky was so black that everyone bumped into each other, and the few buildings that were left could not be seen.
Once they felt it was safe, white people, eyes wide as saucers, drove their cars slowly through our neighborhood, gawking at the destruction like sightseers in a horrific theme park.
Don't ever look white people in the eye. Don't speak to white folks unless they speak to you first. Now you know they think we all crazy anyway. Don't give them no more evidence.
I didn't know that more than 2 decades later, I would be forced to give my own son a more devastating version of the same advice. By the time my son had come along, the sky had stopped burning, the sun was visible, and the world hinted a possibility. So I taught my son to look life in the eye, to make the world meet him on his terms. He never held his head down for anyone. I taught my son pride.
The same way I taught him to walk,
And to sing,
to think,
and to read.
Then, Rodney King's bones were smashed by the repeated blow of a nightstick. Clubs whipped through the air with a sick rhythm, and the whole world was forced to watch.
Schoolboys in South Africa, Martin Luther King on the balcony in Memphis, Eric Gardner choked to death.
I can't breathe!
Eric Gardner's death was ruled a homicide due to a chokehold.
I can't breathe!
Black boys in Los Angeles, Florida, and Chicago, and New York, a rage that would not be harnessed. And my son had no questions, no innocent inquiries like, how could the sky burn?
How could the sky burn? He watched that gritty black and white videotape and saw his own future. He learned that in this strange land called America, black male is target. He watched as the sky caught on fire again, and as people who looked just like him screamed with wild and erased syllables into the face of their captors.
So now, out of necessity, I must teach my son fear. I will hate the sound of my own voice.
Yes, I taught my son to walk, but not so he can be knocked to the ground.
This stride is no longer the bubbling stumble of innocence, but it is the determined swagger of a young black man.
A walk with its own unflappable rhythm. A walk that fights for its own life. It may protect him, it may kill him, but he doesn't change that walk for anyone. He slits attitude and revital on as easily as he does his black hooded sweatshirt.
The attitude, almost an intangible mass, is to keep other people out and whatever he feels on the inside. I prayed that my son would never have to see the heavens catch fire. So now he moves through cold streets that bid him no welcome, walking on eggshells, burning with the fire of his own, and searching the sky